MaTaG calls for a national divorce between liberal and conservative states. Did you see this? This is madness. And this is
I
like
did.
an extra special madness. This isn't like her usual wacky stuff. This is far worse. We need to separate by red states and blue states and shrink the federal government. I, she's almost too dumb for me to like argue with.
It is pretty retarded.
She doesn't know how anything works. She doesn't know how people work. She doesn't know how the government works. She doesn't know what the words she says mean. She's almost like a parrot who doesn't actually know what they're saying. Well, she's not a parrot. She's not parroting people. She's just a fountain of bad ideas. Uh, we need a national divorce. We need to separate by red states and blue states and shrink the federal government. Everyone I talk to says this. Everyone she talks to. When you talk to the wrong people. From the sick and disgusting woke culture issues shoved down our throats to the Democrats' traitorous American last policies, we are done. She has no idea what she's talking about. Uh, what would that even look like? And she doesn't care what it looks like. She doesn't have plans. She doesn't have thoughts. She has rambling nonsense spilling out of her face all day.
Yeah, she's not very smart. I don't like her.
But she's lots of power. Very important, very powerful. She gets to talk to the Speaker of the House on a regular basis. And I suspect that she will be Donald Trump's running mate. If he wins the primary, I don't think he will at this point. He will pick her so that she can get 1,000 hours of free press, just like I'm giving her right now. And the news media will go nuts, pointing out every stupid tweet she's ever had, every dumb idea that she's ever spit out. They'll replay on air for 12 hours a day, nonstop, and then they will win. Maybe. If Trump doesn't win and he goes third party, he will definitely pick her as well. I don't think Ron DeSantis would be dumb enough to pick her, assuming he
No.
wins the primary. Um, Honestly, that's what I see right now is DeSantis winning the primary, picking some middle of the road Republican from Ohio or something like that. You know, one of those swing states that goes back and forth. Since he's already Florida and he's going to win that one, they need to bump up Wisconsin or Pennsylvania or something along those lines. He'll pick a middle of the road Republican from them, and Trump runs as a third party with MaTaG as his running mate.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Um, let's see. Then she went on to say if Democrat voters choose to flee these blue states, well, once they move to a red state, guess what? Maybe you don't get to vote for 5 years. So if I moved to Nebraska, she doesn't want me to vote for 5 years.
What?
And she doesn't have like a plan for this. She doesn't have a policy that she could put out. She doesn't have a write up of here's how the laws work, here's how they would get passed, here's where they would go, and here's what the stipulations are. Like, making laws isn't just spouting shit and saying whatever the hell you think. There's a process. You have to draw up the things. You have to write them into documents. You have to do all these things. But mm,
So why do blue state people flee to red states or move to red states, I suppose I should say?
if there's a reason for it, I mean, why would anybody move anywhere? The jobs are, you got hired at a job, you move to a different place. Um,
I find that a lot of times the reason people do it is because taxes are really bad in blue states. And
um,
especially during COVID, there was a lot of leaving blue states because of the lockdowns.
Bad economic policies are one reason people are leaving, according to Forbes here. Blue states. Yeah, that's entirely possible. You don't like the specific laws of the state, and you have the ability to move, which not everybody does. Um,
Yeah,
but
New
should
York shrank the most, Florida grew the most.
Mm-hmm.
And
New York people going to Florida is pretty common.
it is.
It's not. That's not a new thing. Old
No, it's,
people have
that's
been.
because New York has been pretty
Well,
shitty for a while now.
nah. It's old New Yorkers leave New York for the cold stuff like that, and then go live in Florida. That's a it's a common thing that's been happening since the 70s. It's got nothing to do with economics.
I don't know about
But
that. I mean,
well,
you've
it's
got
it.
a pension or retirement plan. You don't want to be taxed on it, or you don't want to spend so much money. Florida's a lot cheaper, and you don't have state tax in Florida.
No, that's just what studies find that people have been moving to places with milder winters and more sunshine for decades now. Um, but this is correct. Yeah, lots of people are moving for economic reasons. But are they not allowed to vote anymore?
Well, that's
That's
not.
insane.
I don't think they
I know
should be
you're not saying
not
that.
allowed to vote, but I do find it funny that they'll move to these places with better economic policy and then vote for the same shit that they left.
Uh, are they voting for the same economic policies? Or are they just voting
Well, yeah, I mean
for?
their party doesn't change when they leave. They vote blue,
Mhm.
and the blue people are the ones that that made the economic policies that they fled. It's stupid. It's like the definition of insanity. You vote blue people, you get blue policies for 40 years. It fucks up your city, the economics in your state. Then you move to a red state and you vote for blue people again, thinking you get a different result. What are you doing?
But aren't the blue states paying more than their fair share, according to this?
It's because that's where the cities are. I mean,
Right. You know, the people.
but the red states feed the blue states, so
Right. For every dollar each state sends the federal government, here's what it gets in return. Kentucky get far more than they give.
well,
So,
sure. You have what the stock exchange in New York and in Chicago.
mm-hmm.
Uh, you have you have of course Silicon Valley. Um, that's pretty much it. Well,
Okay.
there's a couple
So,
other major hubs, but I mean that doesn't
the
tell
blue
me anything.
states, well, the blue states are where the money is, where the people are, where the profit is being made,
Uh huh.
where the economy is happening. The economy is not happening in Kentucky. It's just not.
Sure. I mean, but these are
Kentucky.
like the millionaires and the billionaires in those states that are doing the doing of things.
Okay.
Like this is tech startups. These are wealthy people that
Mm-hmm.
happen to live in these areas.
Because they don't want to live in Kentucky, and I don't
Well,
blame them.
also because that's where things started. I mean, the New York Stock Exchange has been around for 200 years or however long, 100
Mm-hmm.
years. So
And it
the
is.
fact
So
that
you
it's
say it's the
that
center of the economy.
yeah, I mean, we're not. It just it's not like we're just gonna move that to a red state. If we did, that red state would have a lot more uh, monetary output taxes wise.
Okay.
But it doesn't necessarily. But just because the blue states are making more money doesn't mean that they're a better place to live for the average person. That's why
For the
people
average
are leaving them.
person, it's the average people that are leaving. I agree. But the national divorce would cause all of these red places to be bankrupt, broke, unable to pay themselves, to function without receiving the blue money.
Possibly.
They are not. I mean, looking at this right here, these red states are not fiscally sound. They rely on welfare, and
Hmm,
that would go really badly for them if they separated. They kick and scream, but complain about all these blue states that are actually doing all the work and giving all the money and making all the economy work. Blue
uh,
makers and red takers. That's what it looks like to me.
sure. I
which
mean, that's how you
and
want to look
I'm
at it.
I'm using uh,
But
uh,
you're looking at tax revenues versus taxes paid, right?
I don't know what I'm looking at.
That's what you are looking at. You're looking at
Revenue.
revenues for the federal revenue and the federal spending per
Mm-hmm.
state. So you got federal revenue and federal spending per state.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, the red states are receiving more federal dollars. But again, that says nothing to which states are better to live in for the average people.
What's that called? Life, quality of life,
Quality of life, or maybe spending power, purchasing power
purchasing
in
power.
each state. I mean, your purchasing power in California is dog shit compared to your purchasing power in Kentucky. You can take a $70,000 pension or $60,000 pension and live in Kentucky just fine, just on that. You definitely can't do that in California.
Right, but that's partly because people don't want to live in Kentucky. Or what? Sorry, I was typing. I wasn't listening to you. Uh, Mississippi's 51 out of 50. Uh, uh, sorry, that was funny. Um, so, ranking states by PCPI adjusted by regional price parity. Per capita personal income. This is personal income.
So it's sorted by the purchasing power of $1. Kind of what I'm going for there.
Okay. So does that suggest that Connecticut, the dollar goes the farthest? Or it's the most
No, no, no.
expensive?
So you got to sort it by the purchasing power of $1 there.
Oh, this one here?
That one, yeah.
Okay.
So this says that Hawaii, your dollar goes the least far, or doesn't nearly go as far.
Most expensive place in the country to live is Hawaii. That
Yes,
makes sense. I've been
and
there. It is
New
expensive.
York, right behind Hawaii.
Okay.
If you scroll all the way down, you'll find the states where your dollar goes the furthest.
Okay. The very bottom, where your dollar goes first, is Mississippi.
Yeah, Mississippi, Arkansas, Alabama, all red states.
Okay. Is
Things are
that
cheaper there.
things are cheaper there?
There's less taxes there.
Mm-hmm.
Your dollar goes further.
And why is that?
A lot of it's going to be economic policy. Well, some of these states, for example, don't have state tax. That's going to
Mm-hmm.
put a dent in your purchasing power. It's going to put a dent in how far your dollar will go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know for a fact that California has like an 8% sales tax. It's
Right.
ridiculous. And then
But
on top of that, you've got other taxes. You've got California. If you get a plastic bag at a grocery store, they charge you 10 cents for it.
right.
If you what's that?
Right.
Yeah,
They charge
if
8 in
you
my state. Yeah.
if you uh if you buy a pack of monsters, they charge you 10 cents a can or
Mm-hmm.
something ridiculous.
Right. Is that got to do with population as well? I
I
mean,
don't think so.
if the dollar goes so poorly in California, why does it have like the most people?
Climate.
Climate. Okay. So there is reason to be there, even though it costs more money.
Yeah, climate and then the tech jobs that are out here.
Okay.
I mean, the climate out here is pretty nice. It doesn't get too cold in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the coldest it gets is 30-ish degrees, and then the summer it doesn't get too hot. It usually hangs out in the high 70s, lower 80s,
Okay.
and it doesn't get humid. It's quite dry, actually.
Okay. So the national divorce, bad idea, right? I think it's a bad
Oh
idea
yeah, I don't think it's a good idea.
actually. uh, I just think it would go really badly for her and her friends and the people that think she thinks it would go well for. And then, I mean, even if they did it, you know what would happen? Like, all their senators would leave, and then the United States would have, and then we'd have 50 to 60 blue senators, and then they would have a supermajority of blue senators, and they pass all the laws that they want. Uh, Economic policies go right through. Environmental policies go right through. Medicare for all goes right through. The Green New Deal gets passed. Uh, blue Democrat border security gets passed, and then and then they take all the red states back in a horrible civil war. But all the blue stuff would get passed, and then they'd be forced to join us anyway as their economy crumbles. It's not good, but I could see that happening.
I mean, she's just a lunatic.
Okay.
I'm not going to defend anything she says.
Oh, hi. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. If you liked what you saw, hit the like button, press the subscribe button. Uh, if you want to tell me how right I am, feel free to leave a comment. If you want to tell me how wrong I am, leave a comment too. That's good. Um, this is just kind of a hobby for me, so I appreciate you coming by, giving it a watch, and pressing the YouTube buttons. Thanks.